Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, a Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steve.
My name is Jerry.
And that sound that you just heard, the music that you just heard, means a Carolina Panthers victory.
Win, win, win.
We got it. We finally got our first Matt Rhule victory.
Yes. And
it almost didn't
kind
happen.
of is surprising because we had to go to the West Coast, face Los Angeles Chargers in their brand new stadium, and they just took the Chiefs to overtime. They were playing great, and then they hit the buzzsaws. That was the Carolina Panthers.
I almost wonder if they just didn't quite take us seriously as a team.
I could see that.
Yeah.
That they saw, oh, look at this defense. They're giving up so many points. But, I mean, at the same time, Justin Herbert, I mean, he looked pretty sharp, but we just rattled him enough. So, I don't know if they took us lightly or didn't game plan as much as they had. They were so focused on that Chiefs game that they are kind of more licking their wounds. And
yeah, I mean, I think definitely Panthers were able to take advantage of a rookie quarterback today. And he looked like a rookie, even though he made some nice plays. But let's talk about it a little bit. So the Panthers jumped out to an early lead and pretty much maintained it the entire game. Had a 19-7 lead at halftime, and Ron Rivera their way to victory, essentially, because only got 3 points in the entire second half. Came on a Joey Slye field goal in the fourth quarter, and they, you text me during the game and basically said this feels like Ron Rivera all over again on the defense.
Oh, it did. Like in that fourth quarter, we were up by 2 scores, and all of a sudden I saw every Panther playing 10 to 15 yards back. And I was like, come on, guys. We weren't shutting them out by playing this way. We were shutting them out by going after Herbert, jamming those receivers, and making it tough to make catches. And instead, they backed up. Hunter Henry just started catching easy passes over the middle. I mean, yeah.
He and Keenan Allen.
Oh, yeah.
They were owning that second half pretty much.
But, and it's that soft zones. I know they do that when they're in the lead. It's just so frustrating. It's like, continue to do what you do that got you there.
Yeah, no, I agree. It frustrated the hell out of us during the Ron Rivera reign, and it looks like that's just something that this team is going to do, I guess. I mean, it is nice that we were in the lead and we were able to do that, I guess.
I don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about that another day. The Panthers won, baby.
Panthers won. First victory since November 3rd, 2019. It's been a while since we've had this feeling.
Yes.
And it feels great.
Yes, it does.
Let's talk about
that defense looks so much better today.
They did. Let's start there.
Aggressive.
They were aggressive. Exactly. They were going after the quarterback. They were forcing turnovers. They were forcing fumbles. This is exactly what you and I talked about in our game preview. Key to the game would be to make Justin Herbert turn the ball over. He had 2 turnovers, a fumble and an interception, and then we caused another fumble, and then at the very end of the game they had another fumble. So technically 4 turnovers for the Chargers in this game. That's what we needed. Yeah.
I mean, the score was 21-16 final, but the Panthers should have had way more. They outplayed the Chargers a lot this game. And they made them one-dimensional. Again, Justin Herbert had 49 passes. They only rushed the ball 23 times. Austin Eckler had 12 of those. And that was mostly in the first half because after that, they were just playing catch-up.
Yeah, Eckler had 40 yards on 6 carries, I think, after their first touchdown. He ran that touchdown in early in the second quarter. And, yeah, I mean, after that, they just didn't run the ball much. They ran the ball well against us. They averaged 5.1 yards per carry. But luckily, they were in a position to where they had to throw. So they weren't able to pound the ball like I know they want to do. 2 sacks in this game. after not having any sacks the first 2 games. Only team in the league with no sacks in the first 2 weeks. So that was good to see. Shaq Thompson, 13 tackles. Jeremy Chin, 12 tackles. Those guys were seemingly all over the place. Seemed like Jeremy Chin was in on almost every play.
Yeah.
He looked really, really nice out there today.
Yeah, and he had 1 tackle for loss, and he also had that one huge hit on Justin Herbert that knocked him out of the game for a split second.
Yeah.
And then they called a timeout to let him get back in it. But, yeah, he was flying around. And we were talking about the first couple of weeks how we wanted to see players jump up and kind of take ownership of this defense now that Luke's gone. And, it hasn't happened. And this week, I think we finally saw some players do that. Shaq Thompson.
We saw some fire.
Yeah, we saw Brian Burns really – I mean, he was coming off that edge in a hurry, and I think it rattled Herbert quite a bit. Another big name, Derek Brown. He had 3 tackles for losses, 5 tackles. I finally got to see him make plays on the running back, stuffing that run. Even though they did average 5 yards per carry, it wasn't as bad as it has been. It looked like we were getting there.
Yeah, and I mean, they averaged 5 yards per carry, but they had 3 10-plus yard carries, and that I think skews it a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, Derek Brown looked really good. You mentioned Burns. He forced a sack fumble early in the game that really, I think, changed the momentum of the game towards the Panthers. And that was the first sack, technically. I know that was the second sack. I think Marquise Haynes got the first sack and just kind of came right up the middle and smacked Herbert. And that sort of set the tone for the defense. It felt like the entire game. You knew that they were going to come after him. Yeah,
it was a 3rd down play, 3rd and 10, I believe. And Haynes just came straight up the middle, just rocked him. They got off the field. That was a great play.
Now let's give some props to the Panthers' makeshift offensive line today, because they did pretty well. Only gave up 2 sacks, only gave up 2 QB hits per ESPN stats and information here. Okung was out. They announced before the game he was not going to play, and Greg Little and was it Tony Scott or Troy Scott or whatever, I can't remember his name, Scott, sort of filled in at left tackle, alternated a little bit throughout the game, and they played well. I think only one time can I remember that he got beat badly.
Well, I kind of read that it looks like he got beat quite a bit by Joey Bosa. Both of them did, but I guess the game plan.
Only once did they get a sack off of it, I'll say.
Yeah, I was going to say, but luckily the game plan was to get the ball out of Teddy Bridgewater's hands quickly, and it worked. It worked for this game. Great job.
Today, classic game manager game from Teddy today.
Oh, yeah.
22 of 28, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He took care of the ball.
Yeah, and last week that was his big issue, was taking care of the ball. He didn't do that. This week, he looked good doing it. 22 out of 28, that's great. That's awesome.
That's great. And a lot of them were short, easy passes, like you mentioned, which is fine. I mean, you're on the road. You're in a quote-unquote hostile environment. I mean, I know there were no fans there, and it was the Chargers, so it probably wouldn't have been that hostile anyway. But we saw a lot of what we've been seeing from this offense so far this year, which is short plays, and then hoping that our playmakers can make plays.
And I loved in the fourth quarter that we had the lead after they scored that touchdown and they were down by that 5. The first place out of the gate was a nice 35, 36-yard pass to DJ Moore. I love that play. Love stretching the field there. I mean, yes, DJ Moore was wide open and he caught the ball, but it was something that this Panthers team in the past wouldn't have done. It would have been a run up the middle, punt.
Yep.
And
take as much time off the clock as you can
in those 3 plays, and that's it.
Hope that you can get a first down, but we're not throwing the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're right. That was surprising. And honestly, if Teddy would have made a little bit of a better throw, it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, Moore had his defender beat and had to sort of come back and slow down for the ball a little bit. But, that was a great play.
Yeah, and it set us up actually to get right in field goal range, which we did, but then unfortunately we gave up that sack.
Yeah.
And
that backed us up to, I think, the 41, 42-yard line, and they weren't going to kick a field goal in that situation.
No. That would be dumb too, because you're handing them the ball at the 50-yard line if you miss it.
Yeah. DJ Moore, only 2 catches in this game, but 65 yards, two of the only 2 long passes.
Yeah.
Both went to him, and he caught both of them. Only 4 targets in this game for him. Robbie Anderson felt like he did a lot, but he only had 5 catches for 55 yards, but it sort of felt like he was all over the place.
See, I didn't think that. I thought he had a good game, but I didn't see him all over the field. I saw him make some key catches. Mike Davis again. Just where is this passing offense to the running back when Christian McCaffrey's in it?
Yeah.
8 receptions.
8 receptions again. Yeah.
45 yards and a touchdown. And that was a really nice touchdown screen. He did some fancy dance work and got in there.
Yeah. Something that they haven't done from Christian in the screen pass. And it was perfect. It was set up perfectly. There was a lot of plays. Hey, Christian, your job is safe because Mike Davis did not look good running the ball. He looked okay. He had one nice run, but you take away that one nice run, and he averaged like 2 yards a carry. I mean, just didn't look great, but he's a backup running back for a reason.
Yeah. I really wish we would have played Bonifin a little bit more. I think he offers more of a dynamic playmaker back there than Davis. Davis is good for those like 2-3 yard run up the middle type of plays. And he did have that really nice screen, but for the most part, Bonifin just has that electricity. I mean, when he touches that ball in the open field.
They got the ball to Samuel more in this game. He had 8 touches, 4 rushes for only 7 yards. Didn't really it seemed like every time they gave him the ball to rush, he just ran straight into a wall of defenders.
Yeah, it didn't look like much blocking for him.
I don't know why I wish they would design special runs for him to utilize his talent, get him in space.
Why not do more sweeps with him?
Yeah. I don't get just utilizing him like a up the middle running back. It's not what that's not what he's good at. He did have 4 catches for 45 yards on 4 targets. They did say they were going to try to get him more involved in the passing game. And, 4 catches for 45 yards. He was involved in the passing game.
Yeah, and 4 targets. I mean, they threw him, he got it.
He had as many targets as DJ Moore.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a weird game plan. Like, we didn't really throw to I mean, I guess we were in the lead and we were trying to chew it up as much as possible and not take any chances with the ball. And again, Teddy didn't turn the ball over. Great job. Like,
yeah.
That's what we needed out of this game.
Right. And I think that was a lot of the game plan. I'm not sure if Moore was just being shadowed by their best defender and just wasn't getting open a lot. I'm not sure. I would like to see him get the ball more. But yeah, I mean, the story of this game was the defense for the Panthers, holding the Chargers to 16 points.
Oh, yeah.
Vastly under the average amount of points we've been giving up so far this year. And then turning the ball over. That's the story of the game.
Forcing turnovers, keeping them out of the end zone.
Yeah.
Just great.
Let's look at the Chargers real quick. I mean, Herbert, as you said, threw the ball a ton. 35 of 49, 330 yards, a touchdown, and a big interception. Eckler, 12 carries, 59 yards, 1 touchdown. Really, I mean, Josh Kelly also ran the ball well, 8 carries for 43 yards. But the receivers put up some gaudy numbers. Keenan Allen, 13 receptions on 19 targets for 132 yards and a touchdown. And then Eckler, 11 receptions for 84 yards. So Eckler tore it up, fantasy-wise at least. And Hunter Henry, their tight end, 5 for 50. So that's really the only guys you want to focus on there. For the
Mike
Panthers,
Williams, we kind of shut him down.
Well, he got hurt.
Oh, was he out for the rest of the game?
I don't know that he was out, but I think he was off and on the sideline. He was not much of a factor at all. Only 1 target for him. For the Panthers, Ian Thomas, another kind of disappearing act in this game.
We just don't use that tight end. We just don't use him.
I think if we had a good tight end, we would use him. We have this argument every time.
Yeah.
Let's not have it in a win. Anything else you want to talk about individual wise before we
Well, I think Justin
about-
Herbert has earned that starting job. I know we rattled him a little bit, but I don't see – for a rookie quarterback, I thought he did really well. He got the ball out quickly. That 2-minute at the end of fourth quarter definitely needs to be worked on by Anthony Lynn. Dante Jackson had a pretty good, solid game. I saw him break up a couple tackles, got the interception.
Yeah.
Another good one.
Returned it almost for a touchdown.
Yeah. I know you're going to talk about him, but Joey Sly, I mean, without him, great job. Red zone offense. Saving him. Red zone offense. This is kind of part of my problem. I don't want to harp on it long because it's a win. But some of these play calls on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 8, and they throw a ball to a receiver at 5 yards, and he's smothered by a guy. I'm like, run deeper routes. At least try to make that play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's these 3rd and 8s where you throw it 5 yards down the field, and they're immediately tackled. I mean, and that happened 5 or 6 times in this game. It reminds me of the John Fox draw play on 3rd and 8, right?
Yeah.
Remember that? Where you're not going to get the first down. Why are you even doing it? At least attempt to get the first down.
And Teddy's was good and accurate today.
He was fine, yeah. Now a lot of his completions did come in that 5 to 8 yard range. Yeah. So maybe that was just the game plan today, I guess. But
I think in the red zone, you have to come away with touchdowns. I don't care. We got this win, but we kicked out of the red zone like 5 field goals.
I was going to try to find out exactly how many were in the red zone. But, like you and I were talking about offline here, that they missed Christian McCaffrey badly in the red zone today. That's their closer. And while he's out, they're going to have to figure something out because you can't kick. I think Joey he was 5'5". His long was 31 yards.
Yeah.
So all 5 of those were in the red zone. All 5 of those were in the red zone.
And we got one touchdown.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 6 trips to the red zone.
Which you love to see.
Yeah, absolutely. We just need to make sure to force it into the end zone.
Yeah.
Because other games could go quite easily the other way with 6 red zone attempts and only 5 field goals.
We only scored 21 points.
Yeah.
So you get into the red zone 6 times, you should score at least 30, you would think. Let me crow about Joey here a little bit. He went 5 for 5 today. He did miss that extra point, although that was blocked, and just I don't know what happened there on that blocking. I don't blame him at all for that. That guy almost tackled him. He was so far up the line. But these are the field goals that Joey was missing during his bad stretch last year, were these kind of intermediate range field goals, and he nailed them all. And none of them were. They were all right down the middle, pretty much. And Joey has not missed a field goal in 8 games now. I think he's 20 for 20 or 18 for 18, something like that in his last 8 games. So he seems to have figured out, whatever was wrong at that point, he seems to have figured it out. So great job by him. He won the game for us.
Yeah, he really did.
Spoiler alert, he is the hero of this game for me.
He's been a lot more consistent, and we need that. We just need to get him better on extra points, which is a weird thing to say.
Missed. Those extra points the extra points were the longest field goals he had to take today.
True.
Honestly. So the extra point's no longer just a gimme as it was for.
No, but he's kicking 75% for extra points.
Well, again, that block was. I don't put that on him. All right, so I'm trying to see. Shaq Thompson, I do want to give a special shout out to him. Talked about him a little bit earlier, but he did come out and seem like he was playing with force today. He forced a fumble. He recovered that fumble, made a lot of tackles. So this is the best he's looked this year so far, easily.
Yeah, like I said, there's quite a few defensive players that look like they were taking a step towards being in charge of that defense. Jeremy Chin, Shaq Thompson, Brian Burns. Like I said, Derek Brown made some plays. It was just really nice to see them all kind of go out there. And Dante Jackson. I mean, I can't harp too much on hardly any of them. Tahir Whitehead didn't have a pass interference call this week.
Congratulations. He was not a liability this week. It did not seem.
No, and he had Hunter Henry most of the time. That was shocking that Henry only had 5 catches, 50 yards.
I think another solid day from Rhule Douglas. I mean, it's tough. The secondary, you can't praise them too much because they did give up 330 passing yards. But they didn't give up massive.
I think that's.
I was gonna say they didn't give up massive plays.
No.
The longest play all day long was 28 yards from the Chargers. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those yards, or I'd say about 100 yards, were easily in that fourth quarter when we were just backed up.
I was gonna say a lot of the second half garbage time. You want to call it garbage time because we only won by 5.
And they had
that was
chance.
the defense. That was the defense that the Panthers were playing. Was garbage time defense. Allowing them to get a lot of yards. I don't have much else to say other than heroes and zeros.
Well, I did want to bring up a fact. I predicted a win this week.
Bring up a fact. You did.
So I have the winning record right now of 1-2, and you're 0-3. Also, beer bet of the week was 1.5 sacks, and I took the over.
Had to.
Yeah.
I know. I said as soon as as we agreed on that last week, I said I should have said it at 2.5.
As soon as Brian Burns hit Justin Herbert, I almost texted you like, "Where's my beer?"
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking earlier. I was like, maybe I should predict a loss every week and just see what happens here. Because that was the first time I think either one of us had predicted a loss this year. So now let's talk about real quick before we get into heroes and zeros. That last play for the Chargers. It was the old hook and ladder. Herbert throws the ball down to Keenan Allen, who catches it and then pitches it back for Austin Eckler, who, if he catches the pitch, walks into the end zone. The entire play was going, if you're, to the right side of the field, Eckler's coming left. If he catches that, he's in, and it's a loss for the Panthers. So we got a little lucky at the very end there.
Yes, we did.
And watch that play. Check out the replay if you turned off the TV a little early on this game, because that was
and that
we were inches away from 0-3.
And going back, that's why I don't like playing that style of defense. You don't like to let teams back in. It's just heartbreaking. Heartbreaks almost happen, and we got the win. I don't really care. I'm not.
No, but I think it is worth mentioning.
I am
sure.
Looking at the W, smiling. I'm gonna go to work tomorrow dancing.
That's right.
That's how it is.
We're wearing our Panthers jerseys tomorrow in solidarity. Even though we're not going to go to the office, it's just so we can look at them in the mirror.
Desk.
All right, heroes and zeros. My hero. I'm not going to waste a ton of time on it. Joey Slye killed it for us. 15 of our 21 points came off of his leg. That turned out to be, I think, the winner. Had he missed a couple, then we lose. So great job, Joey. You're a hero.
I am going to go. There's so many people I want to give it to the whole defense just because they really showed up today. So, but I'm going to give it to the guy that I love in my heart.
You're giving it to your boy,
Brian Burns, because I really feel like that sack fumble kind of turned the corner of the game, and he was always in that backfield. And I think it really kind of rattled Herbert, just even throwing the ball, because I noticed he kind of kept tucking it instead of short-arming throwing. So I'm going to give it to Brian Burns. Like I said, the whole defense as a whole, Shaq Thompson, Derek Brown, Rhule Douglas, Dante Jackson. Great job by all of them.
I would say defense as a whole, again, gave up a lot of passing yards, but did what we needed to, shut them down when we needed to, and 16 points for a team that has the playmakers that the Chargers has is really good. All right, now, I'll let you kick off the zeros.
Zeros, I really don't want to do a zero. We got to win. Matt Rhule, The only zero I'll call a zero is the red zone offense. They need to get in the end zone
Red zone
more.
play calling.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat a little bit on my zeros too. I'm giving it to the play-by-play announcers from CBS because they were terrible.
Or Ryan Gumbel and AJ Feely. I think AJ Feely's new, and I think most of the mistakes were his. At least it wasn't Rondé Barber, so I'm fine with a few mistakes.
It was both of them, honestly. It was bad. AJ Feely was calling, as time was running out for the Chargers, he was saying, why are they not calling their timeouts? Why are they not calling their timeouts? Well, they only had one timeout left. And he was calling for it like with a minute 40 left or something. I'd have called a timeout right there. Well, then you have no timeouts left for the rest of the entire fourth quarter. Like, smart teams don't do that. Wasn't AJ Feely a
kicker? Like,
no, he probably doesn't understand strategy, but that was just one of the many. I mean, I was texting.
Oh no, he was a quarterback. My bad.
AJ Feely, yeah. You're thinking of another AJ. There's another AJ that was a kicker. But yeah, I mean, I was texting you throughout the whole game of I can't believe these guys are calling this game.
I'm just happy it's not Rondé Barber. Anybody besides Rondé Barber, I'm okay with. God, I can't stand.
Yeah,
his homerism is so bad.
They didn't seem to be actively rooting for the Chargers, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Was always actively rooting against the Panthers.
Yeah, these commentators were calling it down the line for the most part, and I like that. Even though they did make mistakes, starting off by calling our offensive line their offensive line, saying Trey Turner was on our team.
The Panthers are missing Trey Turner and Brian Balaga. The Panthers were missing in our offensive line, and then Christian Whitehead was out there in the defense for us. There was a few of them that were just a little boneheaded. Like, do some research. Come on, it's your only job.
Well, it may not be their only job, but it was nice. It can be better, yes. And, they didn't have a preseason either. And like I said, I think AJ Feely's just starting. I think this is his probably third game.
Yeah. What would you kind of grade would you give to the Panthers today?
I want to say A just because they got the win, but grading on scale, I would probably go with a B+, A-.
Yeah, I'm going with a B-, just because I think they left a lot of points out there, and they really almost lost the game at the end there. And had they lost the game to that one play, they really would have been kicking themselves for not getting another touchdown in their many red zone trips. So it's definitely an improvement. It's the first time we've been out of the C's this season for our grading. But honestly, I heard Matt Rhule say this at the end of the game, or as I guess in his interviews after the game, was that he's happy to get the victory, but didn't feel like we played perfect. He felt like we made a lot of mistakes, didn't play their best game, and he was kind of glad about that. He's like, we still were able to find a way to win, even though we didn't play our best. So that's, good teams find ways to win. Absolutely. Don't know if the Panthers are a good team yet, but this is a good start.
It's going to hopefully start veering that way. This game was a good launching pad for that.
Yeah. I will say that we got to figure out the running game, because the running game hasn't been good all season, even with McCaffrey in there.
But I feel like they abandoned the run / don't start running the ball early. It's so weird to hear me say that, but I feel like we run the ball like 1 or 2 times on our first drives, 2 or 3 drives, and that's it.
Yeah, it's odd. I think in the first game against the Raiders, I think they didn't start running the game until the second half, which is when they kind of started scoring points. But yeah, I mean, that first game as a team, they had 129 rushing yards, but it was on 30 carries. And then against the Buccaneers, 87 yards on 24 carries. And then today, 81 yards on 21 carries. So they're getting worse, it seems, especially average yards per carry.
21 carries per game, 24, that's not a lot. That's not the Panthers offense is that we know. And it may not be Joe Brady's style, but I hope it does get better, especially when Christian McCaffrey gets back. But, I mean, 3 yards per carry is not awful, but it's not good either.
No, it's bad, honestly. Like if you're not averaging at least 4 yards a carry, you're not doing a very good job blocking for your runners. So, and again, that might be an issue. Makeshift offensive line so far.
Yeah, we haven't had Dennis Daly at all.
Yeah,
Okung was out.
Moten looked good this game.
Yeah, Moten's been solid.
He's going
to get paid. He's probably our best offensive lineman, in my opinion.
I would not argue with that.
We want to thank everyone for listening. If you like our show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbox@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show.
Everybody, Panthers win. Let that take you into this week. Stay safe out there. We will be back on Thursday with our preview show for week 4. And who is our opponent in week 4, Jerry?
Oh, God. Why can I not think of it?
It is a team that got beat today. No longer undefeated, Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
Coming to Carolina. And there will be fans in the stands.
5,000.
A few, yeah. So that'll be nice. Playing in front of a little bit of fans. So we will be back on Thursday, as I said. And until then, everybody, keep pounding.